whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
This is not the first time that Glenn was caught sleeping on the job. And then so she's on the phone with Glenn, who coincidentally lives across the street. She says, Glenn, don't fall asleep. Glenn falls asleep. And guess what Freddy's going to do with that opportunity? Absolutely murder Glenn. We didn't see it much with Rod. Saw it a lot with Tina. We're seeing it a lot with Nancy. Fred is just playing with his food before he kills somebody. Not Glenn. He's like, I'm just going to kill this fucking guy. No toying around, no teasing. I'm just going to grab him, force him down into a hole in the mattress, and then with about 300 gallons of blood, it's going to make a geyser in Glenn's bedroom and it's shooting up towards the ceiling. And I was like,
it's like puddling on the ceiling. It's like pooling on the ceiling.
I believe they said that this was inspired by The Shining when the blood is coming out of the elevator.
Yeah, I thought the inspiration was going to be a whale's blowhole.
What is poppin', goblins? All you spooky ghouls and cool fools. We are trick-or-treating down Elm Street. It's the last week of spooky season. If your name is Wes, you might be Craven for some more spooky content provided to you by the Just Play It podcast. I am Captain Trick or Treat. I am a candy monster demon. Give me your Snickers, baby. Don't you dare give me any fruit or toothpaste in my bag because I'm looking to pop off. It is Poptober. It's the finale of our Halloween season. I am James. I'm sitting here with my co-host, my best friend. He's the guy wearing a costume every single day out of the year asking for candy. He's a candy panhandler. He's a canned handler because he has a sweet tooth and he is my sweet old buddy to my sour yin yang boom bop bang baby. Let's go. I'm pumped, baby. His name is Nick. He's Mr. Corn Dog. He's Nick on a stick, deep fried. He is live. And he's here with me. Welcome in.
Maybe the best intro you've ever done. And that's saying something right there. That's it. I don't panhandle candy from children. Don't ask any more about that. But yes, James, I'm here. The spooky dookie, the candy corn dog. And you better not sleep on me, because if you fall asleep, I'm going to kill you in your dreams. Because that's what we're about this week.
You're going to be dead like Fred. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We watched a horror movie classic, A Nightmare on Elm Street. It was a first watch for myself. Nick, how about for you?
Technically not a first watch, but I watched this in high school and no one was actually paying attention. So the first time I've actually sat down and watched it scene for scene.
All right. Well, it sounds like it is pretty much a first watch for both of us. Let's talk about it. Nick, it's time to just hit the audience with our pre-pop scores. I think you're reviewing this one first, so I'm going to count you down, friend, from 3, and I want to see your pre-pop score, the kernel score. Before you pop the kernel, what are you thinking this movie's landing at? Counting you down from 3, 2, 1. Nick, A Nightmare on Elm Street, you gave a 6. And I just want to hear 3 words to describe your initial thoughts on this movie.
Classic 80s slashing.
Classic 80s slashing. I love it.
I'm not going to give you my pre-pop without you giving me your pre-pop. In your dreams, friend, is that going to happen? So, James, counting you down from 3. I need to see your pre-pop score. 3, 2, 1. And James, I see you also giving this a 6.0 and a Nightmare on, looks like a little street sign, Elm Street. It's a visual, guys. And if you don't know, James puts out these episodes on YouTube every time. We're on Spotify. We're all you get your podcast, but we're on YouTube. We're out here making video content. And by we, I mean Captain Pop over there. Get on YouTube. Go to Just Play It, check out the content, watch these episodes, watch the reels. They're hilarious. And while you're there, you better like and you better subscribe. Now, James, I'm going to need 3 words from you.
Innovative, practical, hokey.
Okie dokie, hokey. I love those. And now, James, let's get into this movie a little bit.
This movie was directed by friend of the show, Wes Craven. It was also written by Wes Craven, and he directed the movie Scream, which we watched in year one of our podcast. A movie we both loved. My wife and I started watching the next two Scream movies actually this month, just to get into the mood. I'm actually wearing a Ghostface shirt right now in honor of Wes Craven. RIP to a friend of the show, Nick. In front of the camera, we have Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, John Saxon, and Johnny Depp in his acting debut. How crazy.
Had no idea.
I had no idea either. That's pretty cool that literally this is the first thing on his IMDb, which is astounding. Now, I did highlight this guy with a question mark asterisk of friend of the show, question mark. Now, was he in a movie that we watched previously? No, he was not. But he did get a shout out during our review of 1986's The Wraith, because he was almost cast in that movie, I believe in Charlie Sheen's position, and B, he was hanging around on location in Arizona because he was dating Sherilyn Fenn, who is the leading lady in The Wraith. You might remember her as Carrie. Hey, Carrie, do yourself a favor and be here.
Hey, Carrie, I'll pick you up later tonight, so do yourself a favor and be here.
Packard's girlfriend, a.k.a. hostage. Johnny Depp, although he wasn't in the movie, he was hanging around that movie set, and he was almost in the movie. So
acquaintance of the show.
A boyfriend of the show, actually, we'll say. So, yeah, looks super young, super not like Jack Sparrow yet, but that's cool to see. You'd love to see a very popular actor in a very early role. You'll love to see it. Nick, you also love to see this kind of return. What are the dollar signs looking like?
James, dollar signs on this one, estimated budget of $1.8 million. So Wes Craven working on a bit of a skeleton budget, spooky season. And box office for just over $25 million worldwide. So hell of a return. It's Wes Craven. What do you expect? This is what the studio expected, and they got their money's worth on this one.
Micro budget, yeah. This was kind of wild. And Nick, I'm actually just gonna pop the candy corn right off the rip. I want to talk about how this movie got made, how that shoestring budget came about, what's going on. I want to start out with Wes Craven's start in filmmaking. So we know him from directing horror movies, but that wasn't always necessarily where he thought he would see himself. He didn't think he'd be making movies at all, let alone horror movies, because he grew up in a Christian household, and not like us. It was like one of those boring ass households where they're like, don't smoke, don't drink, don't play cards, and don't go to the movies because the movies are the devil's playground. Don't do it.
Bobby Boucher.
So not until his 30s did Wes get inspired to go be a filmmaker. And it was because he got exposed to these very cool artsy films, and he thought, you know what? Yeah, this is what I want to go do. While he's in his 30s, he worked for a guy named Sean Cunningham, who ended up being the director for Friday the 13th, as well as a consistent producer and writer on the Friday the 13th franchise. So Sean Cunningham hired Wes Craven to sync dailies on movies. So syncing dailies is when you get the film reels from the day and you sync them with the audio. This is back in the day when it's not digital, kids. You had to sync the video with the audio. So Wes started out doing that. He was a sound editor at points. And then they scrounged up some financial backing, and the backers said, hey, can you make a scary movie? So then Sean asked Wes if he ever thought about writing something scary, and Wes said, no, I've never imagined that. So Sean said, well, then go write something scary, and if the backers like it, then we can make a movie. So over a weekend, he wrote Last House on the Left, and then directed it. It makes an impression with movie-going audiences. And he didn't make another movie for another 5 years, as he was interested in doing other types of movies, but the backers wanted another horror movie. So then comes The Hills Have Eyes. This, amongst some other projects, gave Craven enough money to take some time off and then to refine a script he had been working on, which would be known as A Nightmare on Elm Street. So Craven was inspired by real-life news stories that he would read about in the LA Times, where young and apparently healthy men were dying in their sleep. Nick, you might have heard about this, unless it's just brand new information to you.
No, brand new information.
All right. Get to break the depressing news to the corn dog himself, Mr. Ghost, Mr. Sheet over his head, hand candy handling over there, door to door. Let me give you some info. In these specific instances, the young men were Laotian or from the Hmong ethnic group who resettled in the United States after coming out of relocation camps in Southeast Asia during Pol Pot's totalitarian regime when he oversaw the genocide of millions of people. From what I know, you didn't think it was going this direction, but it is.
Didn't think Pol Pot was getting involved, but okay.
Pol Pot he's in the DNA of A Nightmare on Elm Street because that guy was a nightmare. This is from one of those articles. Quote, all of the fatal attacks were unexpected and utterly mysterious. The 20 victims, all young and in good health, were stricken during the night and died in agony. Autopsies by the best pathologists, how do you say it?
Pathologist.
Autopsies by the United States' best medical experts were not able to offer any explanation of the cause of seizures in at least 4 of the victims. A medical investigator who had been working the case for 6 months said, we're still baffled. So then these types of articles were coming out in the early 80s, and then another one would come out a year later, and then another a half year later, all with these same reoccurring themes of these young men who were healthy, part of this Hmong ethnic group. So then this third article is what really scared Craven. This story was actually very similar to what we saw on screen. This Hmong family relocated to the United States. One of the kids told his family members he was having nightmares and that there was something after him, and if he doesn't stay awake, it'll kill him. The father, who was actually a doctor, provided him some sleeping pills, which he did not take. The kid instead had a coffee maker in his closet with an extension cord hidden away from his parents. This obviously couldn't last forever, so eventually the kid falls asleep. In the middle of the night, the family hears screaming, and before they can reach him, he died in his sleep. While no confirmed reason was ever decided on, the theories were that this was either genetic, anatomic, or psychological. Now, I'm willing to go, I'm not a doctor. I'm just an idiot with a microphone and a podcast. So here I go. Here goes Joe Rogan. I'm definitely going psychological because they're all from the same ethnic group. They all went through this insane, stressful, traumatizing, horrific event. It's just weird. It's weird. You didn't hear about this at all or do any research on the inspiration? Yeah. Isn't that bizarre?
That is really weird.
It's kind of like dreams. Doctors still can't explain what dreams are with these young men dying in their sleep, and they're screaming and the dreams are like what you're, in my opinion, like based on your experience going through this world, whether it's real life instances where you dream of a recurring thing or something that happened to you in your past, or it's your emotions coming out in a quote unquote physical form of how you're feeling. I feel like it's super psychological, and I think that's crazy and very just depressing and unfortunate that happened to those young men. And new fear unlocked, dying in your sleep. Not fun.
Not fun at all. Now, dying in your sleep, it doesn't sound terrible. Dying while terrified in your sleep. Yes. The worst. Yeah. Unexplained. And Wes Craven, stricken by this, got inspired. And he's like, this is horrific. That scares me, but I got to make this a movie. I just want to give you a quote by Wes Craven. I thought this was interesting. He says, nightmares are the horror movies of the psyche. Adversely, horror movies are the nightmares of a culture. He dropped that line in the making of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I loved it. I thought, yeah, horror movies are exaggerated, and dreams are exaggerated, nightmares are exaggerated, and they're very hyper stylized and dig into audiences' deepest fears. For a guy who didn't want to make any horror movies, he was one of the best horror movie directors that we got in this generation. Funny how that works. His inspiration for Freddy Krueger, but they ended up, I don't think he's called Freddy in this first movie. I believe they just call him Fred Krueger. He calls himself Freddy. Did he? Yeah, he calls himself Freddy a couple times. Okay. Well, Fred Krueger was an original idea from Wes Craven. So Fred
was actually the name of a bully that used to beat up Wes. And Krueger, he said, sounded very German and Nazi-like.
Oh, yeah.
It was also a shout out to Krug, one of the Last House on the Left characters. Fred's hat was the same hat of a man that used to frighten Wes as a child. He was suspected to be a drunk that would just dart his eyes wide open and stare into a young Wes's soul and scare the crap out of him. You know, when kids, like you're walking by toddlers and they're just like with no remorse, just staring at you and they will not take your eyes off you. That's got to be, it's unsettling when kids do it, but it's expected. It's got to be way more unsettling when a grown man does it, especially wearing that hat.
Yeah, growing up, we used to get that from a
Freaky Deaky?
Freaky Deaky would do that. If you were stopped at that light and he was sitting in front of that assisted living center and you look over at him, right into your soul.
Boom.
Right into your soul.
Headshot.
Yeah. Scary character.
Scary Terry. Fred's red and green sweater design is inspired by an article Wes read about in Scientific American, which explained that these two colors were unsettling to the human eye.
Those are Christmas colors.
They are Christmas colors, aren't they? Right?
What the hell, Wes?
Well, hey, that's Scientific American magazine. That's that.
What the hell, Scientific American?
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, those are Christmas colors. Those are fine, but I guess not. I did think that sweater was pretty goddamn ugly. He definitely got that out of a Savers thrift shop box.
Yeah.
But to round out Freddy's iconic look, his knife hands were inspired by an animal's claws. So I thought that was cool. Unique. Not like a weapon that's handheld. It is the hand. And he's going to stab you. He going to prick you.
He's going to get you.
They come up with this idea from this real life instance. They make their bad guy. And then they shop the script around. And there was only one who was a believer. And that would be Robert Shea, who has been shouted out on this podcast before. I shouted him out during the Menace to Society episode because that was an instance where they were also, the Hughes brothers were trying to get that script off the ground, and then they gave it to Bob Shea. And then that was the one where he said, I teared up. Robert Shea is the founder of New Line Cinema. I feel like they've always kind of been the ones who've been taking risks and want to try something new and kind of be the edgy, new, cool production studio, even though they started out as a like VHS distribution company.
This is why they're well known now, because you got to take some risks out there. You got to put all your chips on some creatives and say, go cook. How long have we been saying that on this podcast?
Cook indeed. And how could you cook with no money? I don't know, but they went through hoops, challenges, went around obstacles trying to get the money for it. They pulled enough strings, some backers, some people on the crew, paying the crew members with their credit card statements. They scrounged up that sub $2 million and were able to put this movie together. And we got A Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's impressive. It's crazy to me. Wes Craven, it's always funny to me when somebody is not, like, it's not their first love. He's like, I don't know, horror movies. I don't know. It's like, but you're great at it. So can you keep doing that?
Yeah. When I was talking about how he made The Last House on the Left, and then he said he didn't make another movie, I think it's because the backers were like, hey, can we get one more of those horror things you did? So it's kind of those things where it's like, happy that I did it, but don't pigeonhole me and that this is the only thing I can do. But he is so good at it, so it makes sense. The backers did have something right there.
They did. I'm sure, though, it would be frustrating to be like, hey, could you make one just like that? He's like, I don't know. I want to do something different. And so, yeah, I hear what you're saying about being pigeonholed. It's like, if you're really good at something, you probably want to push yourself and challenge yourself to do more instead of just staying in one vertical. But there's also nothing wrong with just owning your space, I guess. So good on Wes.
Yep. And just like that, we get a movie, a classic one that is famous worldwide and sprung many sequels after it. Let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and read this log line, and then we'll jump into the plot talk. Log line is: teenager Nancy Thompson must uncover the dark truth concealed by her parents after she and her friends become targets of the spirit of a serial killer with a bladed glove in their dreams, in which, if they die, it kills them in real life.
It's a long log line.
I was going to say, there's no periods in that. I was waiting to break my sentences, but I couldn't catch a break, just like Nancy Thompson in this movie, running for her life, running in her dreams, dreaming about how she can't run and she's stepping in Bisquick on the stairs. God damn it. We're about to go on a nightmarish tour de force of Elm Street in Plot Talk. All right, Nick, before you explain how this movie starts out, I just want you to shout it out. A true popcorn conversation. Pop the corn when it happens. When we get to it, if it pops up in your head, I just want you to shout out your favorite practical effect and your favorite death, because there's a lot of good ones in here.
Well, James, let's find some of those. Let's start this movie off. We have our movie opening with our girl Tina. She's having a disturbing nightmare about a burned man with blades for fingers. She's in this basement boiler room type place running around. We're getting a look at our villain pretty quick into the movie, at least the general idea. They're not some unknown entity and we're 30 minutes down the road saying, okay, where's the bad guy at? Boom, we're getting hit with it early on. It was only just a dream. Well, she wakes up terrified.
And I got a nitpick with this introduction because the credits were totally getting in the way of the suspense. I'm busy reading the opening credits as Tina is making her way through the boiler room. And I'm like, Bernstein did the music. Okay, all right.
Robert Shea.
Hide that away. Hide it away. Let me see all those names afterwards. We did away with that in modern day movies, but nitpick, old movies, get rid of those opening credits. At least wait until after the cold open. Like when we're on our way to high school and everything's all good and we're going to go meet our friends and a young Johnny Depp.
So we get to school the next day. All the kids jump in a convertible Cadillac. Great looking car, by the way, Glenn's car. And Tina's going to share that she had this nightmare. She didn't sleep well. She had this crazy nightmare. It's really got her freaked out. Nancy, Glenn, and Rod all sort of admit they've had similar dreams. Nancy definitely was like, the same. Yeah, he has these fingers, these like metal fingers. He's wearing the sweater. Tina's like, he's wearing that sweater too. Like, what the hell?
That ugly Christmas sweater.
Tina's going to give a sick burn to Rod in this scene. Because Rod says, well, I woke up with a raging hard-on with your name on it. Tina says, my name only has 4 letters. How's it going to fit on there? I'm like, That's a great
Tina. One. Can we talk about Rod real quick? What's up with that 50s greaser energy?
We got our mother's bed. You guys got the rest.
He's very rapey, and I'm not going to lie, kind of looked like Michael Jackson a little bit. White Michael. I'll say Thriller Michael.
That little like feather curl hair. Yeah. Because he has the leather jacket on too.
Yeah.
It really feels like a very stereotypical character. I think 80s, right? This is what, 84. So you have to have that level of character in there. And Tina's kind of a free spirit. So her boyfriend is going to be kind of a bad boy. You know, he's like the Packard of the movie.
Total Packard.
Well, Tina's going to ask her friends.
Hold on. Are you a total package or are you a total Packard? Which one are you?
You start asking that question.
And they'll be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Tina's going to invite the friends over to stay the night because she's freaked out. Her mom's out of town. She's in Vegas with her boyfriend. We're going to get one of the cliche scenes where we hear something outside and we're going to investigate. And it's just Rod. It's just Rod messing with us. He like tackles Glenn out of the bushes.
Hey.
It's Riley bringing last down just 3 yards from the goal line.
Dick move. He's like, he stops him on the goal line. You're like, okay, Rod.
Okay, Rod.
We get very loud sex.
Dude.
From Tina and Rod.
Insanely loud sex.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, Rod.
For a small pecker, the Packard's packing a pecker.
Quite the pecker. They're going to roll over, fall asleep as they do. And she gets attacked in her dream and ends up getting killed in real life while Rod watches helplessly. James, this is a really brutal first kill. And I think this is my favorite practical effect and my favorite kill. And it comes out the gate hot with this one.
Yes, I was going to say, very cool practical effect here. And I think I do have a favorite death and a favorite practical effect. But I do think that these are both the best death and the best practical effect. Now, my favorite doesn't necessarily mean it's the best in the movie. I think these are the best because this movie, made in the 80s, $1 million budget, CGI is nowhere near where it needs to be at this point in the game. So everything's being done practical. So I love they did this twice in this movie. They have an entire room that is on basically a rotisserie thing. So, they do this in movies all the time with like Inception did this when the hallways are turning and we're running on walls and ceilings. It's on this big rig. It's going luau pig status, apple in the mouth. This one was not on any motorized things. It's people doing it by hand, turning this thing. The actors are getting vertigo, looking at the bed on the ceiling. Very cool effect. A lot of effort put into it because Tina gets dragged up the wall and then kind of gets dragged across the ceiling. It looks like she's almost crawling on the ceiling, kind of Exorcist vibes. I do love that Rod in this scene is just in the corner going, Tina, Tina, Tina. He's reaching out, Tina, Tina.
He's in his tidy
Tina.
whities.
Yeah.
He's like, Tina.
Tina, get down. Tina, wait, Tina, what are you doing? I'm like, dude.
What are you doing up there, Tina?
Tina, hey, I got a hard on over here.
Yeah, she has slash marks.
Yeah.
She's bleeding all over the ceiling as she's getting thrown around across the ceiling.
She drops from the ceiling, smacks on the bed, splashes up a bunch of blood. And that making of A Nightmare on Elm Street, they talk about the MPAA ratings and how they had to cut some stuff. The MPAA said, you got to cut out a little bit of her falling on the bed because it's a lot of blood that splashes up. And Wes Craven's like, I hate that censorship. Let me cook.
If you hated a lot of blood, we got the Glenn scene coming.
Got the Glenn Geyser coming up in the final act. But yes, Nick, I think this is the best death. Really sets up the stakes of this movie early and shows you the prowess of the practical effects and the lengths that this movie was willing to go to in both shock value and effort of selling an effect. And I thought this was awesome.
Yeah. Another thing it did is it, for me, really put Freddy Krueger on the map. You're early on, you're saying, what's this guy do? Is he like a slasher? Is he just a crazy person? Is he one of those weird lurky monsters? Like, no. Freddy Krueger means business. He will murder you violently. He's a psychopath. Like, you have a problem on your hands. And we're about 15 minutes into this movie saying, okay, this is who we're dealing with. Also, as a viewer, I'm someone who says, okay, it's a horror movie. We got two couples. These are going to be our core four people who are here for our movie. Nope. The chick who was in that opening act, dead, out, gone. I'm willing to kill anybody in this movie. Nobody's safe. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, Wes.
A la Scream.
Very good. Very, very cool scene. There's also another part where before this, Nancy and Glenn are downstairs and they're sleeping, and you have like the ceiling compress. It looks like it's probably some what's the stretchy fabric?
The special effects guy said that it was spandex.
Spandex. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, and you see this face and these hands starting to come down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And then I forget why, then it retracts back.
I think it's because it's Nancy he's doing that to, I believe, and it's because she's sleeping. And then I think she kind of starts to wake up, and then the body, the hands, the face retract back into the ceiling. I believe that was the special effects supervisor or special effects guy actually doing that. I'm impressed because that influenced a lot of other movies and TV shows. We saw that in Stranger Things. So that's why one of my three words was innovative, because it was a bit of a trailblazer for horror movies.
Yeah, very well done. Well, James, Rod is going to get arrested because he was in the room with her when she got murdered. Mm-hmm. The rest of the friends are freaking out. It's not Rod. It's like, what do you want the police to do?
Yeah, because he's saying, like, it wasn't me. Someone else was in the room. And they're like, only you were in the room. And then he says that he was underneath the sheets. And they're saying, how can someone be underneath the sheets and you don't know what they look like and you didn't get an ID? And how would you not know there's a guy underneath the sheets? So obviously no one's going to believe Rod.
Why would they?
Hey.
Well, James, Nancy's going to go to school. She hasn't slept in a while, but she's going to sleep during study hall. Well, she says study hall, but then it's like a English class where Shakespeare's being read. She's going to fall asleep while some kid's reading Shakespeare, and then she wakes up, but she's still in a dream. And that kid reading the Shakespeare gets real creepy really fast.
I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams.
She's going to have this whole dream episode where she sees Tina's dead body, sees this blood trail out of the classroom.
Some great horror movie imagery here because, yeah, Tina's in a body bag. Nancy goes out to investigate and then looks down the hallway and sees the body bag with an invisible person is being dragged around the corner to somewhere else. I thought that was fun. I thought that was good.
Really good. She bumps into the hall monitor who's wearing a green and red striped sweater. Says, "Where's your hall pass?" She goes, "I don't need one, asshole," and runs off. And then the hall monitor is still looking like a female and says,
"Hey, Nancy, no running in the hallway."
So we're like, oh, Freddy's here.
Friday.
If we didn't know we were in a dream sequence beforehand, we are now. Well, she goes down into the basement of the school. And this is where I start to realize how OP Freddy is, because he has full control over the dream world. Full control over the dream world.
That's his domain, dude.
You are helpless. Like this underground school, like basement of the school wasn't here. So he's manipulating things. He could take on people's form. He's a problem. We get our first confrontation with Freddy. She's going to end up burning her arm on a steam pipe and then gets waken up while she's screaming, having this manic episode in class. And she has the burn mark in real life. And now, as the audience, we're saying, oh,
where are the rules?
Where are the boundaries here between the dream world and the real world?
Yeah, I had a question about it because it's very clear and apparent that pain and scars are going to carry over into the real world. But I think you had the same question. It seems like property damage also carries into the real world, but then it also doesn't. I think we saw a window that was broken because of something that happened in a dream sequence. But then later, there's a scene where Freddy Krueger busts out of Nancy's mirror on her door. And then when she wakes up, the mirror is fine and there's no shattered glass on the floor. So I was confused as to when does he affect the real world and when he doesn't. Throw in a little objection, Your Honor, for the movie is maybe people are sleepwalking and do this and then go back to their bed, possibly. But this movie has a lot of blurred lines.
Yeah, I'm not sure when and where it happens. It's a little confusing, but we're rolling with it. Wes Craven, he's got me so far. I'm hooked at this point in this movie. He grabbed me with those little knife hands and jabbed me, and he's pulling me on in. So I'm letting some of this go. Rod is in jail, as we said before, on murder charges. And Freddy's going to go ahead and get him anyway. But there's something really interesting going on. James, this is another, maybe not nitpick, but trying to understand how this all works.
No, you can call it for what
Nancy
it is.
falls asleep.
You can call it a nitpick.
Nancy falls asleep. Glenn is there to watch her. He's supposed to be standing watch on this. She's going to go to the jail in her dream and check on Rod and sees Freddy creeping up on Rod. And he looks up at her like, I'm going to get her. So then she's going to run to the jail and say, Freddy's there. But that was just her dream. But was her dream reflective of reality? So that's really where Freddy was?
Yeah, because all the kids say, I dreamt of this guy and he was trying to kill me. So it seems like there could be a multiverse of Freddys out there. Because let's say all 4 teenagers are dreaming on the same night and simultaneously they're all having a dream about Freddy. Whereas in this scenario, it seems like it's an online role-playing situation where everybody who's dreaming is in the same world and Freddy's only at one place at one time.
In the Matrix, yeah.
So that was a little bit confusing. Kind of reminded me of a movie we watched last year, just with a question I had of It Follows, where there's this demon and it can take on any appearance that it wants to, or an appearance that you think it might look like. And then so there's 2 people that can see this demon where everybody else can't, and the demon is appearing as the same person to them. So same question. It's like, when does what apply to whom and where and how? But yeah, no, she totally sees Freddy come up to Rod, which, maybe in that case, he likes to toy with his victims. So she's dreaming. She's like,
Could be.
yeah. And he's like, I'm not going to get you yet. I'm going to go get Rod. And that's going to prompt you to go see Rod. And then when you're there, I'm going to kill him, because that's exactly what happens.
See, but Freddy doesn't fuck up Rod in his dream like he did to Tina. He physically, in the real world, grabs the bed sheet out of the jail cell, wraps it around his neck, and drags him up and snaps his neck from hanging him. I would have liked a Rod dream sequence. I thought that would have been fun. See him kind of get scared, not be like the big man, and then Freddy take him down. But instead, it's just like he was sleeping like a baby until the noose dragged him out of bed.
Yeah.
So Freddy was very physical world for this kill. And again, I'm wondering, I thought he was the dream guy, not real world string you up by the neck. So
I think it's A, because we're following Nancy's point of view. After Tina's death, we're kind of just all in on Nancy, and it's just, that's who we're following. The flip side of that is when Tina died, it seems like she's being dragged up to the ceiling by a ghost. And then when Rod dies, the blanket, like a snake, is making its way around his neck and then hoists him up to the top. So yes, when can he affect real world stuff? And when is he just like in his dream world fucking up shit and slicing bellies open? How does that work?
I had a theory. We'll see if it holds up. I thought the more fear he accumulates from his victims, the stronger he gets, the more he breaks that barrier from the dream world into the real world.
I can see that.
Because you could see maybe that's why he likes toying with Nancy, so that her fear grows and she's freaking out like Rod, and he's like, oh, I'm num fear. I'm getting stronger. I can now affect the real world, because it does become more apparent. He does get stronger. His power over the physical world gets stronger as he goes. So
yeah,
but Rod's dead now. So now we've killed 2 of the 4.
Rip Rod.
I'm thinking, okay. Nobody's safe here. Nobody's safe. I'm looking at Johnny Depp. I'm looking at Glenn, and I go, buddy, you better be careful, because you are now the tertiary character, and I'm scared for you, pal.
So this has Nancy freaked out. At one point, she says, I haven't slept in 7 days. And I thought, geez. And she's like, don't worry, the record's 11. And I thought, that's not healthy, Nancy. Get some shut-eye. But she can't, because then she'll die, and then she'll be dead by some evil force. Speaking of Evil Dead, the movie makes a cameo in A Nightmare on Elm Street. That is a movie we watched last year. And Nick, the reason that it's in this movie is because Sam Raimi included a poster of Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes in the original Evil Dead. So then Wes Craven said, I'm going to pay it back and have Evil Dead make a cameo in my movie. And then Sam Raimi says, I'm going to pay it back again, and I'm going to put Freddy Krueger's glove in the cabin in Evil Dead 2.
Just 2 guys showing some respect. You got to love it.
Easter eggs.
Well, Nancy's parents think she's going insane. I would too. Don't blame them. She's also a alcoholic,
raging alcoholic.
She has like hidden booze in the linen closet.
I have that.
First off,
I have that written down.
First off, you are a single adult. You can have it wherever you want. You're not sneaking it. You know what I mean? Like, she clearly has it out in the kitchen and everything too. I don't know why you have the linen booze.
It might have been after Nancy gave her a hard time about it, and she was like, all right, I'll just pretend like I'm not drinking to my kid. But then, yeah, she sneaks out of the towel closet and just takes a big chug. Big old chug. Chugging.
Nancy's mom takes her to the sleep clinic, and they're going to monitor her dream. She's starting to slowly, over the course of the movie, develops this fuck it attitude, and that's going to play a part in it. But finally she goes, fine, you want me to sleep? I'll sleep. The fear is almost evaporating as she's being forced into it more. And I think that's a pretty normal human emotion. So I thought that was really well done. But surprise, surprise, here comes Freddy. He's here.
Classic.
She's I get a lot of the dream sequences messed up. Is this when the stairs are marshmallow?
No, I don't think we see the dream in the sequence. I think we just see the mom and the doctor's point of view, and we just see Nancy freaking
Oh, that's
out.
right. The machines are going off the charts.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
I've never seen any of this before.
This is weird.
And then she's losing her mind. She wakes up, and she's holding Freddy Krueger's hat. So she pulled a hat from the dream world into the physical world. She's saying, I'm not crazy. Everyone's dismissing this. Like, they didn't all have her just in a gown. Like, oh, where'd you get that hat from? It's like, Where do you think I got? You saw me walk in here, sans hat, and now I have hat. So you tell me where I got this freaking hat from. You insane people. It says a name inside, Fred Krueger. Mom acts really weird about it. This is where she smashes her booze bottle on the ground because they're having this confrontation about it. Really well acted, honestly. Nancy, great character. Really enjoyed it. So hats off to the cast of this one. And she says, tell me about this Fred Krueger. You seem to know about him. Well, Mom's eventually going to tell her about it. She takes her down to the basement. Come to the basement. I have things to show you.
The cellar.
We're going to get Fred Krueger's backstory. So he was in the neighborhood. He was a child murderer, a serial killer. He would lure kids down to a boiler room basement. So we're going, okay, this is the boiler room we saw in the opening scene with Tina, down by the big, flame where he's going to, I guess, kill these kids, Mom reveals. He gets off on a search warrant technicality. Parents of the neighborhood say, not so fast. They track him down, douse his house in gasoline, and burn the whole damn thing down with him alive in it. She has kept his glove with knives on it as a trophy.
First off, hell yeah. Way to go, parents and residents of Elm Street.
Super into it.
March down to that child murderer's house. Originally, I believe he was supposed to be a child predator and murderer. But then I think they toned it down because, that's always a sensitive subject. Yeah, originally he was a big pervin on the kids of Elm Street and big murdering for the kids on Elm Street. And the parents come in and say, we're going to beat up this fucking loser and burn him alive. And he's dead. Hell yeah to the Elm Street vigilantes. Also, Nick, you said that she kept his glove as a trophy. This is when I wrote down, Mom's kind of psycho too.
Yeah.
Not only does she keep the glove, when she's talking about the hat, Nancy says, I want to know who was Fred Krueger. You know about him. Where's the hat? And she says, I threw that thing away. And then she actually steps in front of a drawer that it ends up being in. And Nancy clocks this and looks down at the drawer and is like, that was suspicious, Mom. Nancy pulls it open and says, oh, what is this? Why do you have this hat? Who is Fred Krueger? So I was like, okay, she kept the glove and she kept the hat, like a keepsake. And then so we get the story in the cellar. It's one thing to keep the glove, but where she keeps it is so weird. She has it like hidden up in a furnace, like it's some sort of stashed drugs.
Like a trophy.
Like a trophy. Yeah. And then my final note was that she pulls a liquor bottle out of the towel closet because, she's just got some issues.
Well, we know why she drinks, right? This was clearly very emotional for her, and she killed a man. Her and the Elm Street vigilantes, as you have noted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably why her parents have split up. You start to feel like, oh, this is why the town's a little unsettled and why the cops are a little more on edge and weird because this has all happened unbeknownst to the kids. So I thought that was a fun wrinkle. Thought it could have been explored a little more, but
I did like that new step in development of more context for what, because when I was watching it, I had a question of, who is Freddy Krueger? Like, how does he pick his victims? Why is he doing this? And then it makes a lot more sense because that's why he looks like a burn victim. He's targeting certain kids because it seems like these are the kids of the Elm Street vigilantes that murdered him. So he's out for revenge. So it made a little bit more sense, opened the movie up, made it a little bit more deep for me personally.
And again, I wish I would have watched another 30 minutes of this movie if we dove a little more into the Krueger lore. Where he came from, what happened afterwards. Has he shown up since? I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of places he could have gone with it. However, after hearing how the studio sort of curtailed Wes Craven's vision, maybe they were like, we don't want to know about a serial killer. So that could have been a decision
or
as well.
Or a child predator, even worse.
Even worse. But then you hate him even more, and I like hating my villains.
Yeah.
So, James, Nancy is going to have a plan. She goes, okay, I was able to grab his hat. I think I can pull him into the real world if while I'm wrestling him, I can be woken up.
Just give me some help nailing the guy when I bring him out.
Bring him out of what?
My dream.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
This is not the first time that Glenn was caught sleeping on the job because earlier in the movie, Glenn's in the room and Nancy says, don't fall asleep. Like, wake me up if I start freaking out. And he falls asleep. And then he's just sleeping on the job. And then in this next plan, she's kind of prisoner in her own house because the mom barred up all the windows and put extra locks on the doors. And then so she's on the phone with Glenn, who coincidentally lives across the street. And she says, Glenn, don't fall asleep. Well, Nick, Glenn falls asleep. And guess what Freddy's going to do with that opportunity? Absolutely murder Glenn. Up to this point, like we said, we didn't see it much with Rod. Saw it a lot with Tina. We're seeing it a lot with Nancy. Fred is just playing with his food before he kills somebody. Not Glenn. He's like, I'm just going to kill this fucking guy. No toying around, no teasing. I'm just going to grab him, force him down into a hole in the mattress, and then with about 300 gallons of blood, it's going to make a geyser in Glenn's bedroom and it's shooting up towards the ceiling. And I was like, my jaw.
It's like puddling on the ceiling. It's like pooling on the ceiling. I'm so shocked. They were like too much blood in the Tina scene. Like too much blood in the Tina scene.
I think it was
her body splashing in it.
The lifeless body falling on the puddle of blood was a little bit difficult to swallow, as opposed to just like a geyser.
Jarring. I get that.
But Nick, this is that return of the rotisserie set because they had the entire bedroom upside down, about 300 gallons of fake blood above the set, released it, and it was just pouring. That's why it looked like it was high pressure.
Really cool effect.
Spraying across the ceiling. Yeah, very cool effect. I believe they said that this was inspired by The Shining when the blood is coming out of the elevator.
I thought the inspiration was going to be a whale's blowhole because that's what this looked like, man, of the blood just firing through there. It's vicious. There's a point when the cops are there and they say, where's the coroner? He's like, he's been throwing up in the bathroom since he saw this.
Yep.
This is not natural. The police still aren't quite sure. They're still like, Rod killed Tina, killed himself.
Nancy's dad's a cop, by the way. We didn't mention that. So he's, of course, we have to have like some sort of friendly cop personality that is in the mix of all these murders, but doesn't believe all the supernatural stuff until the very end.
And she's screaming at him out the windows, trying to get his attention. She ends up calling him and says, hey, I'm not crazy. I need you to come into the house, break into the house, and wake me up in 20 minutes. Because she has a plan. She's going to fall asleep. She's going to confront Freddy. She's not scared of him anymore. She's like, we're going to do this mano a mano. I think she says, we're doing this on your turf. It was funny you brought up the inspiration for this, because she has a coffee pot hidden under her bed.
Yeah.
So when you brought that up from the story, from the real story, I was like, no, that makes sense. Also, it's like on and brewing. And I'm surprised Mom wasn't like, what are those fresh beans? Like, what's that smell? What's happening in here? Maybe she's drunk. I don't know.
Yeah. Alcoholic nostrils can't smell. But yeah, she's like, meet me in 20 minutes. And then Dad's like, all right. But yes, you said she needs to fall asleep within those 20 minutes. I can't even fall asleep within an hour, although I haven't been sleep deprived for a week. But then secondly, she has hella booby traps, Home Alone contraptions to set up in 20 minutes and fall asleep.
Dude, she drills a hole in a light bulb. Do you know how hard that is and not shatter the bulb? And then fills it with like gunpowder.
Yep.
It's like, what the? Just Nancy.
MacGyver.
It's diabolical.
She's got a sledgehammer on a little swing.
She has tripwire set up.
Mm-hmm.
She has, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, so she sets up all these booby traps and then falls asleep. I believe she goes into the boiler room and then ends up pulling Fred Krueger into the real world. She just starts clowning him with all these homemade contraptions, sets him on fire, and all these dumbass cops are like, oh, what's the big commotion over there? They're so slow to respond to her because she's like, he's here, he's in here. And then the cops are like, what? Huh? It's like, fuck it, come on.
It's not until smoke starts coming out of the house because of the fire where they're like, oh, we got to get in there.
Yeah.
What a terrible dad.
We got a stunt person on fire who in one shot is chasing Nancy and the cellar, goes up the stairs, falls down the stairs, gets back up, runs back up the stairs, and then finally they cut and extinguish the stuntman. But in the movie, he's still on fire because then Nancy loses Fred after he's been hit with that sledgehammer and caught on fire. Her and her dad are going to go find him on top of the mom. And the mom, this is how I described it. She gets crimped Like she gets like
She does.
she gets not like crypt walking.
It's like a shriveled up.
I mean like the crypt keeper. Like Freddy's on top of her, and it's obviously like a mannequin, very lifeless. And then she has a skeleton hand, and then all of a sudden he disappears. I forgot what happened. But then she slowly gets lowered into a foggy, spooky looking hole in her mattress. Hence the cryptness. She crypt dropped.
She looks like the grandma in the SpongeBob episode with chocolate.
I remember chocolate.
I always hated it.
Chocolate. I remember chocolate.
Chocolate. I remember when they first invented chocolate. I always hated it.
It's so
I hated it.
It's so funny. And at this point, Nancy is just in straight fuck it mode. Her mom's dead.
Glenn is a geyser.
Freddy, she brought him to the real world. I was gonna say Freddy doesn't have any powers up to this point because he's fighting like a real person. He can't die because he's on fire and he's still living. But he's not able to manipulate the world. So this is how Nancy's schooling him. When he's on top of mom and then disappears, you're like, oh,
yeah,
he's still.
I had a question of like, how come he can't phase through walls? How come he's having so much trouble getting through Nancy's bedroom door? And then I remembered, oh, it's because he got brought into the real world. So he does have a little bit of boundaries.
Until the mom scene.
But yes, then we hit the mom scene.
And so he's disappeared. He's, I guess, down into that foggy crypt with mom. And she gets, again, like, it's funny how he said it, like lowered, like it's like on a moving platform, like
a casket going into the ground.
Yeah. Dad sees it too. So now dad knows Nancy's not crazy. This is the craziest part to me, where Nancy goes, I just need a minute. I'll be down in a few. And dad goes, okay. And he leaves his daughter alone after just witnessing this.
The crypt.
And I'm like, what the hell? The door slams shut and she goes, I know you're there, Freddy. Mom said something to her earlier about, sometimes you got to know when to confront something and sometimes you need to know when to turn your back on it. And now she goes ahead and turns her back on Freddy, doesn't look at him, hits him with the, I looked it up. It from Stephen King was written a year before this because it felt like an It sequence of, if you're not scared of it, it kills it because it feeds off fear. We're getting a very similar ending here because Nancy's saying, you don't scare me anymore. You're just a dream. You're not real. Freddy lunges at her. And then the first cheesy effect of the movie happens, in my opinion, when he kind of like disappears in this like purple flash. Thank God the rest of this movie was practical because if we had to deal with that the rest of the movie, I would have hated this.
Yeah. He's kind of like Santa Claus because Santa Claus is, I guess, exists if you believe in him. Same with Freddy Krueger. If you don't believe in him, he doesn't exist.
Yeah. And throughout the movie, these little girls are playing jump rope. There's a little Freddy Krueger mantra. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Whole thing. And so it's like the belief of him still lives in the community. So he's still around. At least I think that's what's happening. And so Nancy, one of the last things she says to him, like, I know your secret. This has all been a dream. I want my friends back. I want my mom's back. I want to wake up and I'm not scared of you. And then we get the whole, like, the classic, it was all a dream ending. It's bright outside. She's with her mom. Her friends pull up just like at the start of the movie in Glenn's red Cadillac. Everything's fine. She jumps in. They're like, oh man, what's going on? Oh, I'm so happy to see you. You look great. The top to the Cadillac closes. It's green and red stripes, baby.
That's got the Krug My Ride look.
Dude, that's the Krugmobile for sure. If this was Twisted Metal, that would be Freddy Krueger's vehicle right there. The windows roll up. They're like, Glenn, stop it. He's like, it's not me. I'm not doing anything. And the car drives off. Nancy's yelling for her mom, and her mom's just like, yay, waving. Oh, she randomly, like when they walk out the door, just gives her whole like, I'm not drinking anymore. I'm done with it.
No, baby, I'm going to stop drinking. I just don't feel like it anymore.
That's how you know it's a dream.
You're like, oh, this is real, I guess. And then this iconic shot, second bad practical effect.
But hilarious.
Freddy Krueger punches through the window. And James, this window's what? Like 2 feet high, 1.5 feet wide, 18 inches wide. Like it's not a large opening on the front.
At best.
On the window on the front door.
At best.
He punches through, grabs mom like around the chest/neck and rips her back through the window. James, you have a note here. What did it look like to you?
A blow-up doll. She turns into a blow-up doll.
Yeah.
And then just gets like 60 miles an hour ripped through the window. So funny.
And that's the movie.
And then, Nick, we hit credits. And with credits, we always get the funniest names in the credits. I'm just going to hit you with the funniest name in the credits that I found, which is going to be Scott Buttfield.
Ha!
You butt. Also, the credits song is funny. It's kind of reminiscent of Big Trouble in Little China. The song, I forgot the cadence and the melody, but I think it was something like, "It's a nightmare. It's just a dream. It's a nightmare. Just a dream." You know, this one was like,
I didn't hear this.
Oh, what? You didn't hear?
I watched it on HBO Max, and as soon as credit hits, it's like, here's your suggested next movies to watch. Like, let me start playing the previews for the next one. I hate when it does that. I want to watch the credits.
It's because my job is to look for the funniest names in the credits, so I have to override that. Sometimes I fuck up and hit skip or watch next, and then I have to reopen the movie and sit through another minute of ads, and then fast forward to the credits, sit through another minute of ads because I jumped over 4 ad breaks. So yes, no, you missed Scott Buttfield, and you missed "It is a nightmare. It's just a dream."
Son of a bitch. Want me to look it up on YouTube real quick so we can listen to it?
Yeah, go for it. I'll get your reaction. Dream. It's a nightmare. No, it's a nightmare.
What a banger.
I lock the doors, I nail the windows tight. I thought everything would be alright.
It's a nightmare.
No, it's a nightmare. I need to see if that's on Spotify. That might need to get added to the
workout playlist.
Yeah.
Well, when the credits hit, of course, it comes right after the ending. And Nick, just to talk about that ending, very quick discussion on it, because there were a couple of different versions of the ending. So the one we got was the blow up doll version. And the original ending, in Wes Craven's words, were: the original ending of the script has Nancy come out of the door. It's an unusually cloudy and foggy day. A car pulls up with her dead friends in it. She's startled. She goes out and gets in the car wondering what the hell is going on. And they drive off into the fog with the mother left standing on the doorstep. And that's it. It was very brief and suggestive that maybe life is sort of dreamlike too. Having just watched Scream 2 and 3 kind of rounds out the trilogy. That ending kind of reminds me of the ending of Scream 3. Not to spoil anything, but the last shot we get, which is it kind of stuck with me. We look at a door we're on the inside of a house and we're looking towards a door, and the door kind of creaks open. The character looking at it, looks at it, clocks it, but doesn't make anything of it, and then walks away. So it was a little bit eerie, but also very peaceful at the same time. So it was a little bit of a subtle idea of like, danger's still out there and maybe lurking, but we still feel like we're at ease and we've beaten the villain, which I thought was a cool little ending to that trilogy. Last year, one of my favorite spooky movie we watched was It Follows, and I loved the ending because it seemed like it was triumphant and it was peaceful, but there was a little clue in the background of, are we good? And then we don't quite know. So I think those are very great horror movie endings. Bleak and dark horror movie endings still work. Super happy endings necessarily don't for me. But Nick, what do you think about Wes Craven's original idea for the ending?
I like it. I echo all of your sentiment, and I'll just add on to that to say, I think it would have worked really well in this movie because a lot of this movie is dealing with Nancy's trauma, a lot of that, her running from things, scared of things, her mom's alcoholism, her running from things, the town trying to suppress and forget the Freddy Krueger incident. And so the ability to say, hey, we don't know. And we sort of just have to live with the issues we have and keep going on with life. And I thought that would have been a really good ending instead of like, he's alive, he's not alive. It's like, it doesn't matter. We've overcome this hurdle. And even if he's still there, we have to still live our lives. So I would have liked that ending a lot.
Yeah, I'm not mad at this one. And this was a Robert Shea idea, and they shot about 3 or 4 different endings to this because Wes Craven mentions how Robert Shea wanted a more traditional sequel bait to come at the end, which is kind of what we got. But his idea was
that's what I assumed.
They eventually came up with the dummy through the window bit, and they knew they struck gold, even if it was kind of goofy. But Wes Craven says that Shea wanted Freddy Krueger to be driving the car and have the kids screaming, and it all became very negative. I felt a philosophical tension to my ending. Shea said, "That's so 60s, it's stupid." And I refused to have Freddy in the driver's seat. We thought up about 5 different endings. The one we used with Freddy pulling the mother through the doorway amused all of us so much we couldn't not use it.
I like that.
It's a studio versus director thing. Director says, this is how I want it to end. And studio's like, well, I just went fucking crazy trying to get money to get this movie made. And I want to benefit from it if we make a sequel and get my studio and get you more work, get my studio more money. So it's the classic, let's do this to build up a sequel. And no, this is my vision.
At least it's a compromise.
It is a compromise.
At least it's a compromise.
I think it leans more towards Robert Shea's vision because it's a little bit of a tease.
Yeah.
Wes Craven's original idea I thought would have been cool and kind of would have left us wondering a bit more because we're thinking, the mother gave up drinking, all the friends are alive, everything seems so happy-go-lucky, and then it abruptly ends. Was that a dream? Was the whole movie a dream? I don't know.
Well, honestly, though, it kind of leaves. I like Wes's original ending because you are wondering still, is it a dream? Is it not a dream? If Freddy Krueger's there taking the mom, we're still in a dream. And then it's like, well, wait, what was the whole movie? She woke up. How long has she been in this dream? How much of this has been a dream? What about Tina's original dream? Is she a dream within a dream? Are we inceptioning this? When did the movie actually start? When did reality start for us here? So that leaves me with more plot holes and questions. If Freddy's there getting the mom, it's a dream.
It's a nightmare. It's just a dream.
It's a dream. So yeah, so honestly, I would have liked the more ambiguous of, is everything in reality now and we're good? Are we still in a dream and who knows? It's a lot more debatable, and I like endings that leave audiences having multiple, something to talk about on the ride home from the movie. That's the good thing.
Yeah, I think movies that leave you with questions and leave you wondering about it are always some of the best movies. Oh, I didn't shout it out, but my favorite death and my favorite practical effect was the Glenn death scene and the tongue.
I figured
coming through the phone. That was so gross.
The phone,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. I was like, oh, that was gross. Best effects and best death were Tina, but my personal favorites was Glenn just getting absolutely just geysered in his bedroom.
Didn't even get to see him die. He gets pulled in.
Don't have time for that.
So where's this barrier between the dream state and the real world? Because his bloody headphones are in the dream state of Nancy later on. So did he get pulled down into the boiler room? Do you get pulled? So,
well, also you had a question about the phone call because during that, I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. That's in the real world. So how did Freddy call Nancy on the phone? And we looked it up, and people were theorizing she's daydreaming, she's napping, she's doing this, she's doing that. So it just kind of goes back to the blurred lines of, is this entire movie a dream? We don't know.
Which would make a lot more sense.
It would make a lot more sense, but I would hate that. I don't want everything to be a dream, and then that's the explanation. But this movie is about dreams.
It's a dream.
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready, Freddy Krueger?
Oh.
Hey. And Nick, after talking about the movie, we are ready to go into our finale, the awards, or as we call it this time of year, tricks and treats. This is where we go over the best, we go over the worst. We put in some nominees that are going to be in the Wrap Party special finale of the year. And Nick, I'm going to go first. So, revealing my nominees for Best Weapon, Best Fighter, MVC, and Biggest Piece of Shit. Here I go, Nick, for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Best Weapon, I have Fred's Glove. Best Fighter, I have Fred. MVC, I have Fred. Biggest Piece of Shit, I have Fred. Fred sweeping the awards for me.
I love it.
Fred.
I was almost there.
Oh, okay. You were almost there, but let me see who you're thinking, who you're taking for your nominees, for your awards, your tricks and treats. I'm knocking on your door. Trick or treat, Nick. Show me your noms.
James, I have best weapon being fire. Best fighter, obviously Fred. MVC went a little basic with Nancy. Biggest piece of shit, clearly Fred.
Okay, Nick. Best fighter and biggest piece of shit are a lock with Freddy Krueger. However, we can talk about our best weapon and our MVC. Let's start out with best weapon. Fire is good, but I just think Freddy's glove is too iconic, and I want to see that on Harley Davidson's hand when he fights Darth Vader at the end of your rap party. Honestly.
Very iconic. It only had one kill. I wish he had a few more kills with it. He only got one that we're aware of. So, but I'm down to acquiesce to the glove. The only reason I didn't put Fred in there is the reason I put him into biggest piece of shit is I have a rule on this podcast. When you mess with kids, if you're a serial killer of children, you're biggest piece of shit.
Yeah.
So that's blocking. I mean, MVC, he clearly moved the movie along. Most compelling character.
MVC doesn't mean the best person in the movie. It means the most valuable character to the movie.
Yeah, I'm standing on principle here.
Yeah,
I think Nancy.
Nancy was great. Like you said, the performance was great, but I just think when people think of A Nightmare on Elm Street, they think of Freddy Krueger and they think of Robert Englund's performance, and I think he literally is the heart and soul of this movie when they were going into the concept of what is the villain going to look like, and they thought, oh, we're going to get a stunt guy, and he's just going to be a lifeless marching force of strength and murderous ways like a Michael Myers or a Leatherface. But no, they got Robert Englund, who's a classically trained actor and has a lot of personality. And Freddy was the best part about this movie, I thought. Nancy was great, but I got to go Fred on this one.
See, I would agree with you if I had a little more depth from Freddy. If we would have gotten another 20 minutes or so of the movie, given Freddy a little more meat on the bone, if you will, as a character, a little more background and whatnot, and who he was before and why he is the way he is now. He's very static. I think Nancy was a very dynamic character, grew throughout the film. I loved the transition from like scared, not scared, confident, face the monster sort of progression, clashing with her mom a bit. You know, am I going crazy? No, I'm not. I thought she was just a very dynamic character throughout the movie who really pushed it along, who went from like, oh, classic slasher, scared, try and run away from the monster to like, I have a solution. I'm here. I'm a strong character who's good enough to face off with a dream demon.
A dreamin'.
Yeah.
No, I mean, she is the final girl in this horror movie. I just can't shake Fred as not walking away with the most valuable character. I just think he's
well, we'll give it to Fred. Not a big deal.
The reason why. Well, no. We don't hand out awards all willy-nilly. This is tricks and treats we're talking about, Nick. This is important business.
I know. I'm just saying, I understand he's iconic. I'm saying as a character in the movie, growth-wise, depth-wise, you know, who we're going along with and who this movie revolves around. It revolves around Freddy, sure, but it revolves around Nancy's confrontations with him and her willingness to go ahead and then finally face him on his turf. I don't know. I thought she was great that way.
Like in the movie Halloween, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis kind of plays the same role. She's the final girl. Neve Campbell, final girl in Scream. So, yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Nancy walked away with this one.
Flip a coin?
I have a coin right here. The famous coin.
I have my doubloon in the closet.
I have my doubloon right here.
Heads is Freddy, because he's got a fucked up head. Tails is Nancy. James, flip it when you're ready.
Here we go. It's Tails.
Well, that's that.
It is Nancy. Nancy walks away. She denies the sweep.
Huge honorable mention to Fred.
Alex Forrest from Fatal Attraction, still the only person to sweep the awards. David almost did it for me on The Lost Boys, but then a husky came in and stole the MVC from him, just like that movie. Nancy's coming in, stealing the MVC award from Freddy Krueger. All righty then, Nick. Tricks and Treats are an official wrap for the 2025 season. That's going to get us to the final leg of this journey, which is the final review. We get there via our sarcastic selling points, and I'm going to go first. My sarcastic selling point is a burn victim's revenge story. Justice for Fred.
He's a child serial killer.
It's sarcastic.
I said a sleepy slasher.
Ah.
Final review. Fight.
The final review. We're going to talk about what the other guys said about A Nightmare on Elm Street. Then we'll follow it up with what we think on our final takes. We're starting out with Rotten Tomatoes. 94% of the critics thought this was good. God damn!
They loved it. And so did the people, James. They have this at an 84%.
Woo-wee! And like usual, Metacritic is just meh, because they're going to give this a 76, which is a 7.6 on the spooky dooky scary skeleton scale.
It is, James. And the people of Metacritic, they're very similar to our Rotten Tomatoes folks. They give it an 8.2.
Nick, you absolutely love to see when the fans are on the same page. Let's see if our final person here is going to bring it home with some consistency. And now for our gut slashing, red green fashion. Don't fall asleep, because here comes the creep. Cops are none the wiser with the great Glenn Geyser. The coroner's throwing up while Fred is showing up. In your dreams, no, it's a nightmare! Brought to you by Closet Booze. It's always there when you need it. Closet Booze. From IMDb, a 7.4.
Whoa, am I dreaming?
Sipping on that.
Did we just sync that
sipping
up?
on that Closet Yak. Sipping on that. Sipping on that Closet Yak. Closet Booze. Sipping on that Closet Booze. We're Nancy's mom. We're drunk as fuck. We're killing child murderers on Elm Street, baby, because that's what we do every week. We're killing it. We would kill child murderers, bitch. Nick, hit me with the funniest review you found on the internet.
James, so something I love about this movie, you're reading through user reviews, and every October of every year, there's more reviews, so you know this movie is still being watched. I did see one. This isn't my funniest one, but I did see one of someone who said, I watched this when I was young, and it was really scary. Now I watched it again at 13, a full-blown teenager, and it's still really good. And I went, wow.
I'm a full-blown teenager these days.
I'm a full-blown teenager now. You can trust me.
I just hit puberty.
This is a good review from a gentleman named Tom F. from 2024. He only gave it 2 stars, and he said, I enjoy watching teenagers die as much as the next guy, and I appreciate the low-budget weirdness, but this doesn't register for me enough to want to see more of.
Very honest.
Thanks, Tom. I, too, love seeing teenagers die as much as the next guy. I don't know what that means, Tom. I hope you're doing okay.
Shout out, Tom. That's what everyone else is saying, but now it's time to get to what everyone literally is here for, what we think about it. Nick, you are reviewing this movie first, so I need to hear your laughable logline, your final popcorn points, and just some quick final thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let me hit you with it. So my laughable logline is, a dream demon is going to get you, but only if you're sleeping, or also maybe awake. Oh, James, this is a hard one for me. I'm going to give this one a 6.8. I'm going to go up from my pre-pop score of 6. I'm going to give this a 6.8. It doesn't quite meet the criteria of that coveted 6.9, but it's also not quite a 7 for me, and I'll tell you why. First off, the reasons this movie is good. The acting is good. The casting is good. The practical effects are really what bumped it up that point, that 0.8 for me. Mm-hmm. From that pre-pop. The more we talk about the practical effects, the more I realize how much it made the movie really enjoyable. How much it made Freddy Krueger more enjoyable. I like that the movie didn't take itself too seriously, but was also scary. Like, I can appreciate 1984 audience member being a little freaked out. That first death, Tina's death, was really good. It would probably freak me out a little bit if I was a 1984 audience member watching it. So great job by Wes Craven captivating the audience. Things I thought that were missing from this movie a little bit. I mentioned it throughout the plot talk, a little bit more during the awards. I would have loved a little more depth into Freddy's character. It's like they gave me just enough to want more, not enough to satisfy me. So if you would have told me, no, Freddy's just this crazy dream demon, I don't need anything else. I don't need anything else from you. When you give me enough background, we're like, oh yeah, he was this child serial killer and the townspeople burned him. It's like, okay, it's a little compelling. Like, give me a little more. Why these kids? Why is he so hell-bent on these folks? Why is he after her? How much of a dream is this? What are his powers? Where are his boundaries at? Just flushing out the Freddy character a little more. When you turn that off, it's a really good, fun 80s horror movie with really good effects that is, like, I can see why people call this a Halloween staple. It is. It's really good. It's really well done, and hats off to Wes Craven for this one. I don't know if in the future Freddy series they go in more depth into the Freddy character. I hope they do. Just would have loved a little more in this one. I think it would have added a lot to the story. Otherwise, I mean, great movie. Watchability score, high. If you haven't seen this one and you're a fan of these kinds of movies, what are you doing? Even if you're not a fan of these types of movies, by today's standards, it's not that scary. And again, it's really well done. So hats off to Wes Craven. It's a 6.8 from your boy.
Nick, I absolutely love that. And I'm going to love giving you my laughable log line, final popcorn points, and final thoughts on A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Let's hear it.
My laughable log line is a cracky looking pedophile with the volatility of Santa Claus nightmarishly haunts the children of the Elm Street vigilantes.
Yes.
I pre-popped this as 6. I was pretty hard parked at 6, but then you said 6.8, and I'm not going to lie, it swayed me. So I'm thinking, where do I want to bump this up? Because I do love Wes Craven's work. We love practical effects. So I do think this deserves a bit more love. I'm going to park it at a 6.5.
Fair.
I'm going to bump it up half a level. 6.5 is where I'm landing. The great part is we have $1 million budget and the crew is fighting to get this movie off the ground, and they're being very innovative with their effects, how they're going to get stuff done. We didn't even mention half of the effects that took place. Some of my favorites was when Tina peeled off Freddy's face and it's a puppet skeleton. It's all bloody and gross looking. The bathtub sequence I thought was great, which kind of hinted at the Predator thing, because it's a very suggestive shot with Nancy's legs open and Freddy's hand comes out from the water. But that's the special effects guy in a submerged dugout tank that they extended. It was like 8 feet deep, and he's down there holding his breath, and they knock on the window and then he puts his claw up. They shoot the scene where she gets dragged down into the water in a pool, and they wrap the pool in black tarps and make it look like a bottomless pit. That was probably like the most freaky sequence, I think, of the freaky,
really good,
freaky sexually and freaky scary. Getting dragged into a bathtub would be horrifying. And then you're just going down into a bottomless pit. We didn't mention it, but the goofy, like, arm extensions that Freddy has in the beginning, where he has just long ass arms for no reason. The maggots when he cuts himself open, the centipede coming out of Tina's mouth, the body bag getting dragged through the hallways. There's a lot of cool images and a lot of memorable stuff. And at the end of the day, I think that's what especially these 80s classic horror movies are known for, and their bread and butter is those scarring, traumatic images that kids walk away from the theater of and say, I can't go to sleep tonight. So I think this movie did its job and has its place in horror movie history. The only reason it doesn't hit 7s for me is that it is dated. It's not that scary because of, I don't know if it's lack of budget or sometimes the effects are a little bit too practical when you're like, it's just a classic, just
a little goofy,
gross out
goofy
special
sometimes.
effects. Yeah. But like the rotating sets I thought were great. The bathtub sequence I thought was great. Simple tricks I think are great. Robert Englund's performance is great. All the cast performances are great. The vagueness of was it all a dream? Is this entire movie a dream? I'm not a big fan of that, albeit this movie is about dreams, is about nightmares. So I'll give it a pass on that. But
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. But I'll give it a 6.5. And just for a reminder for the audience, 6s are great. On our popcorn scale, they are fresh popcorn, but unseasoned. But nonetheless, they are fresh. So in our opinion, worth the watch. Go ahead, grab some popcorn. you can season your popcorn, watch this movie, and enjoy it because it is a classic.
It checked all of our boxes, but I feel like this movie had a ceiling of like a 7. So getting those scores from us, it like you said, it did what it set out to do. I think it would have been really fun in 1984 to go see this one with some friends and go like, wow, that was really cool.
And that's what movies are all about, getting together, having a good time. And that's what horror movies are good for. And Nick, bittersweet moment, that is a wrap on spooky season for the Just Play It podcast. What a lineup. I think we are ending this on a strong note. You got something?
I was going to say, it was a tough stretch pre-spooky season. Jumped into spooky season with Morbius.
That's what I was getting at.
But the last three, man,
strong.
Lost Boys, Nope, Nightmare on Elm Street. What a way to finish out strong, like you said. So
we got to bring up the average of this year because we've been struggling, but
been a rough one.
Don't worry. Got a little bit of one little treat for the next time we do this. But before we get there, we just want to thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow us. We are at Just Play It Podcast on Instagram and YouTube, at Just Play It Pod on X. You're going to want to be here next time because, Nick, we are turning back the clock and we're going to the Wild West.
I can't wait, James. We're going back to, I mean, if I was from the 1700s, I'd say it's in the future, but I don't know. I don't know.
Who knows how time works in the dream world? That's it for us for spooky season. October is a wrap. We are heading gone, and remember, it's just a dream. No, it's a nightmare.
I'm your worst nightmare.
No, it's a nightmare.
No, it's not fair.
Actually, I just looked it up. I don't think they say that. I think he says, no, it's a nightmare. Even though it sounds like it's not fair.
I kind of like no, it's a nightmare better because it's like, it's a dream. No, it's a nightmare. Like you're refuting the previous line. The chorus girl's going like, no, it's a nightmare.